Welcome. In this tutorial we're going to look at the screen recording application Camtasia. You can find that by googling Camtasia. It's at techsmith.com/Camtasia. There are both Mac and Windows based versions of Camtasia. Camtasia Mac I find is a little lighter weight than the Windows version, which is called Camtasia Studio. If you don't have these already installed on your computer, you can download a free trial. The free trial lasts for 30 days and is a full functioning trial. So once you've downloaded the application and fired it up, let's take a look at Camtasia. This tutorial is going to take a look at Camtasia Mac. When you open Camtasia, it will ask you if you want to start a new project. By default, you can also go to the File drop-down menu at the top of the screen and click on New Project. This is the user interface. Note, in the upper right hand section we have an area where we're able to view our screen recordings. To the top left we have two buttons, one New Recording, the other Import Media, and then down here in the lower section of the screen is our timeline, and we're able to use multiple tracks for both our screen recording, external audio that we would like to import, as well as external images or other media that we'd like to import. To start your new recording, click the New Recording button at the top left of your screen, and you get this small interface which pops open. The first button, right now it says Recent Region, and what this enables you to do is choose the size of recording that you would like to capture on your desktop. Note that we have some presets here, 320 by 240 for the iPod size, all the way down to a YouTube HD, which is 720p. That's what we would like to select. Note that you can also click on Custom Region and then enter in your own aspect ratio that you would like. But for our purposes, we're looking to do a 720p, which is 1280 by 720 pixels. So go ahead and select that. Notice that when you do select that, you get a nice bounding box, which is a sort of a lime green color, and it will show you how much of your screen will be taken up by this aspect ratio that you've chosen. So if I click my 640 by 360, note that that green bounding box shrinks, and when I click that YouTube HD selection, it bumps back up to that HD size, which takes up the majority of my screen. Once you've chosen the region that you're going to capture, note that you have the option to record from your camera. We're going to skip that for now. Next to the microphone icon, you also have a drop-down menu, and this lets you choose your input. Now, you can use your built-in microphone. In this instance, I'm using a Logitech headset, so that's the microphone that I'm going to choose. Be sure to run a test when you record to make sure that the preset region, the area of your screen that you're capturing, is the area that you'd like, as well as that you're getting the right input for your microphone. You might need to lower your levels or increase your levels depending on how hot your microphone is and how close you are to it. Once you've chosen the region you're going to capture as well as your microphone input, the next step is to click the big red button, which will set up your capture area for you. Once you do that, now you can see the region that you're going to record, as well as another little interface down here at the bottom which shows the selections that you've chosen in the previous interface. Now you can click down on the area that you would like to capture, and you can drag that around your desktop a bit. So you can position that recording bounding box in just the right place on the desktop that you'd like to record. Once you're ready, go ahead and hit that red recording button, and then the way Camtasia Mac works is you get a countdown starting at 3, 2, 1, and once you get to 1, that bounding box turns blue, and you know that you're recording. So now anything you put within that bounding box on your desktop will be recorded, including, for example, applications such as Microsoft Word. Say you wanted to do a demo on Microsoft Office. And also you can open up your browser. Now the way that I like to do these tutorials is to open up a browser window and basically size my browser the exact size of that bounding box, so that what is shown in the recording is the actual browser itself and not too much empty space on my desktop. And that's pretty much it for doing recording takes. Now it's up to you to have your script and to know what it is that you would like to demonstrate on the screen. You know that you're recording up here at the top on the top menu bar. You get this red icon, which is a piece of film strip. You know you're recording if it's red. And you can stop the recording by clicking on that and choosing stop recording, or you can pause the recording, take a breath, make an adjustment, and then click continue recording. But in this instance, I'm going to click stop recording, and then what happens is that full recording from when it counted down to when I clicked stop is now brought into the Camtasia editing interface. To the upper left hand section here, we have our recording bin, and so basically Camtasia is going to create that or treat that one recording that we just did as a clip, and that clip is now available up here in this bin. And for the first recording, for the first clip, it will also add that to your timeline, and you can see we get seconds across the measuring tool on the timeline here. There's a slider down here at the bottom of the timeline, and that will increase or decrease your view, just like we've seen in other video editors. We have a play button and a play head. So just like we've used in other video editors, when you hit play, the playhead will start to move from 0 through the piece, and then you're able to take a look right here in the upper right hand screen what your footage holds. Note that there's a drop down menu with percentages. Right now it says it's at 100%, which means I'm looking at it 100%. You can zoom in and zoom out so that you can see what is actually within the clip you've recorded. Between that and the timeline zoom, you're able to customize your editing experience. So now that you've got your clip onto the timeline, I know you're asking yourself, the next thing that you'd like to do is be able to edit it, or to put a split within the clip so that you can take off unwanted portions of the clip and basically edit it to the length that you would like. So go ahead and move the playhead on the clip right to the area where you'd like to make a cut in the clip, and then once you have your playhead set, go to the edit menu at the top of the screen and click split selected at playhead, or command T. And when you do that, it puts a split in your clip, and now you've made an edit to that clip. You can select just one portion of the clip. In this instance, I'm selecting the beginning, and then I'm going to click delete, and that'll just trim off that whole first part of the clip. Now I can select the piece of the clip that I want to keep. I can slide it back and forth on the timeline. I can line up my playhead again, go to my drop down menu and select split at playhead, and that'll add that split, and I can trim the back part of my clip off. So by using my playhead, setting it in the exact position where I want to put my split, and then click edit, split at playhead, I'm able to trim my clips down. Now's a good time to go ahead and click File Save. Let's run quickly through recording another clip. So go ahead and click that new recording button in the top left of the interface. It's going to give you that smaller interface where you can select your microphone input and the region. Now if you leave all your settings the way that you set them up last time, what it's going to do is just click the most recent region that you used, which I find is the best way to do it. Notice that it has the 1280 by 720 checked. When you hit record, it's going to go ahead and record that area. The way that I like to do it on the Mac, you have this minimize button, which is the little yellow button at the top of any window. I go ahead and minimize my browser down while I'm editing using Camtasia, and then when it's time for me to do a recording, I just click the then when it's time for me to do the recording, I just expand that by clicking down in the dock and opening my window back up. It pops right into that previous position that I was in, so I don't have to reposition my browser. And because the recording area that is highlighted in green is the same area that I used last time, basically I'm all lined up, so there's not a differentiation between where my browser was in the last clip and where my browser is in this clip. Once you've done your second recording, you go to the top of the screen again and click on that little icon, which is the red film strip, and click stop recording, and it'll bring your second clip into the bin here on the upper left of the Camtasia interface. Now I can grab a hold of that second clip and just drag that down to the timeline. And now I have two clips on my timeline, and I can start to edit and, in essence, create the montage of clips that I need to go through the series of instruction for my project. So that pretty much covers recording audio and video live off of your desktop. The next step, just like in the video editing tutorials we've done, is to import other kinds of media. In this application, you can import other media by going to File, Import Media. Let's start out by choosing a still image. So I use my browser, I find the image that I'm looking for. I click Import. The image is imported into my media bin here, and I can treat it just like I would a video file. So now I'm going to click File, Import Media, and this time I'm going to bring in an MP3. We'll just use that Big Bill Brunsey MP3 that we've been using throughout the course. I'll pull that in as well. Click Import, and now I have a still image and an MP3 both in my media bin alongside my video clips that I recorded from my desktop. I can click on my still image and just drag that right onto my desktop, and note that it gives me, I think it's about 5 seconds of that still image on my timeline. I can edit that, I can move it around. Notice that I have multiple tracks, so I can start to move my clips around, edit them, and I drop my still image right there on my timeline and edit it between my two clips. Same thing with the audio. Audio is treated on a separate layer from the video and the still image. When I drop it, I see that nice waveform, and again, once again, note that it drops the whole 3-minute song onto my timeline. I don't need the full song. Let's say I'm just going to grab a few seconds at the intro, maybe 10 seconds of audio. I select the audio file by clicking on it, then I go to File, and I put my playhead right at the area where I want to make a cut. And once again, I can treat the audio just like I do the video and say split selected at playhead. It'll put a split right in my audio. Now I can select the piece I don't want and hit delete, and now I've chunked out my audio just like I did my video files. So using that split at playhead, that's the way I like to do it. There is a small sort of cog wheel looking icon to the right hand side of the interface, sort of in this middle section, two icons over from the drop down that has the 100%. That is my settings for any individual clip. So if I select my audio clip by clicking on it and then click that settings icon, I have a volume slider here which enables me to edit the volume of the entire clip. So I can slide that down to say 50% or 30%, whatever's going to be appropriate. When I'm using external music, once again, this audio MP3 is going to be mixed louder than my voice is recorded, so I might want to turn the volume down on the music track so that it fits better with the recorded audio. So this settings icon, once again, lets me edit the settings of an image, a video, or a piece of audio, depending on whatever's selected. Now we've looked at our media bin, and we see that we have two video clips that we've recorded from our screen, our still image and the MP3 that we've imported. And down here, just below that, we see that media library is selected. If I click over to the right-hand side of that menu, I can choose audio effects, and when I do that, I then get a slide menu that has a number of different audio effects. The top here is an audio fade in and audio fade out, and the way that we can apply these effects is just by clicking on, for example, audio fade in and just dragging that right on top of the clip, and it will then add, you can see this little sort of teal overlay over the top of my audio. That means that I have added a fade in effect to that chunk of audio. Now if I can move my clip around on my timeline, add another split, and grab just a few seconds of audio. Now when I grab the audio effect fade in, fade out, and I add it to the clip, it knows that I want to add it to the end of my clip, and so now I have a fade in and a fade out effect on the clip, which I can see once again those effects show up in teal over the top of a clip. So I can get back to my media bin by clicking on the media library icon, and the icon in between the audio effects and the media library is the video effects. We have a number of video effects, transitions, fade in, fade out, fly out, etc. I'm going to treat these effects just like I did with the audio effects. I can grab an effect, drag it, and drop it right onto the top of a clip. It'll take a moment to render, and once it does, in the same way that the audio had that little teal overlay, now the video also has that little teal overlay. So I can play with my video effects, my audio effects. Let's look at the next useful step for me, and that is to separate the video, which is the screen recording, from the audio, which is the microphone in that you've recorded. And this is the synchronous audio that you recorded right over the top of the screen recording. Let's say, for example, that you recorded the correct visual, but you would like to take away the audio, that the audio track didn't work for you. I can select a clip by clicking on it, then right click or control click on the clip itself, and I have this option to separate video from audio. When I do that, I now have the video on the lower track, the audio on the upper track, and I can edit the two. Now if I delete the audio, if I select the audio, which is that top track, and delete it, it's gone. I'm not going to be able to get it back on this timeline. It would exist in the media library. I could pull that back down onto my timeline, and that would be uninterrupted. But whatever I edit here on my timeline is permanent, so just be aware of that. Now that you've separated the audio from the video, if you start to edit it, you're not going to be able to get it back without kind of starting over and dragging it from the media library bin back onto your timeline. Now I clicked undo, and what happened was it added the audio back to the clip, which is generally how I like to edit using Camtasia. I do like to have the audio attached to the video, unless, for example, in this project where I was trying to do a screen capture of Camtasia itself, I did a bunch of still images, and now I'm recording a separate audio track and then suturing those two together using the audio timeline. That's pretty much it for editing within Camtasia, or at least what we're going to cover for the scope of this assignment. We have recorded our screen, chosen what area of the screen we would like from a series of presets or using the custom region, being sure that we chose the right microphone input. We hit record, we recorded our screen, we stopped our recording, brought it into our clip bin, and then pulled that down to our timeline. We edited multiple clips in our timeline. We imported a still image and an audio track. We were able to add some effects like fade ins, fade outs, and now our piece is ready to go. We've hit save. The next step basically is to get your video out of Camtasia into an MPEG-4, which then we can utilize on the web, or we can upload to YouTube, etc. So go ahead once you're ready to export. Click the Share drop-down menu from Camtasia, and we're going to choose the Advanced Export. Now, if you go to Export, there are a number of presets. You can play around with these, but let's just jump straight into the Advanced Export. That way you can edit this manually. First, from the Export drop-down menu, you have a number of formats you can export to, including AVI, which would be relatively uncompressed and universally accepted. But as with our video editing assignments, we're going to export out to an MPEG format. Choose MPEG-4. Then go ahead and click the button that says Options right next to it, and that will open up your MPEG-4 options. From video format, I'm going to leave this as H.264. You can also choose basic or improved. For the image size, I'm going to stay current, and what that's going to do is give me the 1280 by 720 screen size that I set up at the beginning. That was the preset. I captured at that size, and so I'm going to export out at that size. If you, for example, have captured a 1280 by 720 screen size and you would like a smaller export for your video, go ahead and choose one of these sizes. For the frame rate, we're looking at 30 frames per second, which is relatively standard. And for a keyframe, right now we're getting a keyframe every 30 frames, which means basically once a second we're getting a keyframe. A keyframe, once again, is that best quality image, and then all of the subsequent frames between each keyframe won't be as high a quality, but visually, our eyes can only see 30 frames. Our eyes kind of see 30 frames a second, meaning that we only get that one keyframe. Our eye can only register that one keyframe. If you want to bump this keyframe up to, say, every 15 frames, it'll be even tighter quality. It will pretty much double the size of your export file. So as we adjust these settings, say if we increase the keyframes by saying every 15 frames, it's going to give us a bigger file size, which when we're only recording, say, a minute or two for our project, doesn't really matter. But if you've recorded an hour's worth of video, file size does start to become an issue. For our data rate, let's leave the data rate, say, around 3,000 kilobits per second. That's pretty high. You could go even higher, say 5,000 K, but that's going to give us a nice size. It's going to be a rather large file size, but it's going to give us nice quality for our video. Once you've got all of your settings ready to go, click OK. Then you're going to browse where on your computer you would like to save your file, give it a name, and click Save. Now, of course, it takes a while to export out, and depending on the length of your project, you may want to start this going and then let it render and come back later to look at your final product. Once you've finished exporting, you get this pop-up and it says the export's finished. You can click close or have it pop up and play for you. I'm just going to close it. And here's my file right here. I've opened it up using QuickTime, and now I can take a look, make sure that the quality is the the look and feel is how I want it, as well as that I exported it out at the correct size. Once everything looks okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then the next step in the assignment is to take your screen recording that you've created and upload that to YouTube. In WebCT, you're going to send me the YouTube URL, just like we did for our video lesson, and click Submit. And that pretty much wraps it up for our look at Camtasia Mac. As always, if you have any questions, get a hold of me, and thanks for watching.